we've talked about this for a while, and we have not talked about it yet. So let's just go ahead and get it out of the way now. NFL MVP. These two
Yeah.
guys just played each other last weekend. It was a hell of a game. Should have gotten some overtime. Almost got some overtime. Obviously, the Bills beat the Ravens, but Jason, why don't you lead us off? Who's your NFL regular season MVP?
The 2025 NFL MVP is Lamar Jackson. I think it has to be. When you just look at the stats, you see the yardage, the rushing yards, the total touchdowns. Really, the only thing that's in Joshy Boy's favor is his record, which is very fair.
He did play one less game worth mentioning.
Yeah, he did play one less
That's
game.
why I put that up there.
I was team Josh maybe halfway through the season, or like 2/3 through the season, but I just feel like Lamar closed out the season so strong. And I feel like we almost want to give it to Josh because he hasn't won one, but I just feel like Lamar was such a freak of nature this season. And now that they sputtered out in the playoffs, it's kind of like a bitter taste in my mouth a little bit. It makes me want to favor Josh. But like just remembering back in the regular season, he was so good, so consistently. Um, I think it's got to be Lamar. And I think also Joe Burrow, I don't think he deserves it over Lamar, maybe not even over Josh, just because, I mean, they didn't even make the playoffs. And if he's so valuable, you got to carry your team to the playoffs. But Joe Burrow just had one of the most insane seasons. And I had a front row seat because he was my quarterback this year. So I loved it.
Yep, I
But
got
yeah,
him on both my dynasty leagues.
yeah, he was.
Joe Burrow and Saquon Barkley deserve hat tips, but they're not going to win the MVP.
Yeah.
Where's your vote go, Steven?
I was gonna say you don't even have the MVP on this graphic, man. It's Saquon. it's all Saquon. No,
if McCaffrey didn't get it in 23, he's not getting it this year.
I know. I kind of wish that the non-quarterbacks would get more love, but I understand why it's a quarterback award at this point.
By the way, Adrian Peterson the last non-quarterback to win it?
Last one that I know of. I
12. Something like that.
Isn't it crazy to think that like years and years ago, like way back when, a kicker once won MVP of the league?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But
it'd be riots if like Chris Boswell or something, the Steelers kicker got it.
I love that the image you chose of Josh Allen looks like he's waving at us. Like, you know,
I thought it was a funny picture. Yeah.
So
consider me for your MVP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Even Lamar's posed too.
When Lamar's like, yeah, I got another one back.
So I'm actually very surprised by Chasen's answer. I was expecting us to be on opposite sides, but I'm Team Lamar as well. And I think that it's not really that close for me, which is crazy. I mean, I think I lean Lamar in general. Like I've always been higher on Lamar, I think, than a lot of other people. And when I say it's not that close, I just feel like I don't want to say anything negative about Josh Allen because Josh Allen is great and he is a deserving MVP. And if he wins, I will have no problem with it. But I just feel like Lamar is more dangerous and he's just a better football player. And like, if you told me that I could pick between the two to plop on the Niners, I would pick Lamar. And I know that's crazy. I know.
I mean, it's not crazy. They're two incredible players.
Yeah, but I mean, I know that's crazy with like the narrative because it seems like the narrative out there is it's like, okay, Patrick Mahomes and then Josh Allen. Like that seems like those are the 1-2 for quarterbacks. Like just
I'll take Josh on my
when
Niners.
Josh is playing well, yeah, but like once he starts to have 3-4 games where he turns the ball over too much, people turn on him so much he gets like dumpstered on in the media. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I don't know. I just feel like Lamar Jackson gives you more options and makes you a more dangerous team. And because of that, I feel like he's more valuable. Yeah, he won all the stats or whatever. But, I mean, I think that helps bolster a case. But I just think that he is the better player. And that's what I always try to go down to when it comes to like an MVP conversation because people try to make arguments about, oh, who's more valuable to their team, you know, like if you swap them, whatever, all this stuff's like whatever. MVP should be the best player. Like who do you think is the best player in the league this season? Doesn't mean they're the best player of all time. Oh, all time, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes, and because of his resume, I would still say he's a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. But right now, this season, you tell me who I could have for the Niners, I'm picking Lamar Jackson.
The one thing, and I'll let you go, Ryan. I apologize for cutting you off. The one thing that I really feel like is strong for Josh Allen is like, and I feel like the Bills have a lesser team than the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Baltimore Ravens have a better roster across the board, and yet Josh willed them to more wins. They had a better record. So I feel like that's most valuable player carries their team to wins, and I feel like I mean, Josh had more wins on his record, so I feel like he carried the team to more wins with a worse roster, in my opinion. So that's one thing that makes me be like, ooh, maybe it's Josh. And I do feel like it's super, super close. But go ahead, Ryan. Who do you think?
Yeah, so that's one argument I would make if I was going to pick Josh. I'll go ahead and pick Josh just to be a little different. I also am a huge Josh Allen fan. And LeBron was winning all those MVPs, and people just got like LeBron fatigue, so they wanted to see someone else get it.
Yeah.
Lamar's in that territory where it's like, all right, Lamar, you're freaking amazing. I get it. Who else is out there? And I've already got my Mahomes fatigue. I've been there. But Josh, one of the arguments I've heard about Josh too is like he makes more spectacular plays. Like he more often than Lamar, he makes throws that you're like, I don't know that there's another quarterback in the league that can make that throw. He just has more like wow, eye popping plays. As far as like throwing the ball, Lamar probably has more of those type of plays running the ball. Although Josh did have that sick run against the Chiefs to put him away. And Josh hasn't really been turning the ball over this season. He's only got 8. And in that graphic, I listed him as turnovers because I combined interceptions and fumbles, and he only had one less than Lamar. So I'll give my MVP to Joshy Boy, even though the Ravens did stomp the Bills in the regular season. The Bills got their revenge in the postseason, and I do agree with Jason. I think the Ravens are better. They've got Derrick Henry to lean on, and when you're worried about Derrick Henry running all over you, Lamar's going to get loose, and he's got. I don't know that I would say he's got better wide receiver weapons. I think Zay Flowers is. I would take Zay Flowers over Khalil Shakur. I would take Mark Andrews over Dalton Kincaid, but not by much.
Even now,
so I do think that. What's that? What'd you say? Oh no! Did we lose him?
He might have cut out or something like that.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
I got you.
Okay.
Did you say even now after the bad Mark Andrews drop or something?
Yeah, I just said even now after.
That's what I thought you said. Yeah. Players have bad games. It happens. I felt bad for him. But anyway, to make that argument, though, that the Ravens are better and that Josh carried the lesser team to a better record, which I do think is probably true, you'd have to consider Jayden Daniels because the Commanders freaking stink. Like, their team sucks. And he's on the verge of going to the freaking Super Bowl.
Jayden Daniels is a freak. Have you guys like watched him play? Like, did you watch the full game versus the Lions? How good is he? He would turn busted plays into like first downs and scrambling, doing this. He's, I feel like, the closest thing I've seen because I didn't really watch Michael Vick that much. But like, he's the closest I've seen to Lamar Jackson with like how elusive, how fast he is. He's not Lamar Jackson, but like, he's the closest I've seen. Accurate, smart for a rookie. Oh my gosh, he's gonna win an MVP or multiple, in my opinion, in the next like 10 years.
Yeah, he's been incredibly impressive. When we have the Purdy contract conversation, I made a quarterback ranking list of like I put him in tiers and ranked them, and Daniels is like top 6 for me in the entire league. He's ahead of Purdy already. Sorry, but he's been super, super impressive to me. And I agree. He's probably going to win an MVP or a Super Bowl at some point in the next 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
If
He's
the
good.
Commanders can have like a sweet draft, like they're trouble.
You
It's
sure
It's
so
great.
good.
the MVP's not Cliff Kingsbury there instead of Daniels?
No, no.
Well,
Kingsbury.
we saw Kingsbury with an athletic quarterback. It didn't go so well.
But
Jayden Daniels is special.
Well,
maybe Daniels is better than Kyler. Maybe that's why. Maybe
No
King.
question.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure he is. Jayden Daniels is already like a top 6, top 7 quarterback in the league, in my opinion. He's
How good has Kyler looked since Cliff left?
up and down. I mean, I think he's looked
He looks like
decent.
the same player to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Steven, have you watched Jayden Daniels?
No, just highlights.
Watch the AFC Championship. Watch the NFC Championship. He's going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Now.
I do
In fact,
think the Eagles are susceptible. I mean, they just
they
need to
are.
give it to Saquon like 50 times and maybe they'll be all right. But
Are you planning to watch? Are both of you planning to watch AFC and NFC Championship like all the way through?
Yeah.
it just depends on what's going on that day.
Well, catch at least the NFC Championship, Steven, because I want you to get a good look at Jayden Daniels.
All right.
I do agree with Jason. He's the closest thing to Lamar that we have. Mike Vick was a way different player than Lamar. Probably a more dangerous runner, maybe, but Lamar can really throw the ball. Short, intermediate, accurate. Mike was just like bombs away.